I kind of stopped paying attention to the date, and we did actually receive a message that is really, really, really important. This is from U-110. It was sent on the 9th, actually, so I'm 2 days late. But it's sent from U-10, commanded by one Fritz Julius Lemp. He is quite a colorful character. I'll tell you guys a little story about him. But for now, I'm just going to read this message. It says, attacked by escorts, damaged, heavy flooding, forced to surface, rammed, abandoning boat, and sinking. Oh, Fritz Julius Lemp, what have you done? Well, what he had done is he had taken the U-110 on his second patrol with it, and gone and chased a merchant or two, and then gotten kind of attacked by an escort, and said escort kind of depth charged the shit out of him. So he was forced to surface, and he was going to surrender his boat. And, as was customary, he was going to scuttle his ship before he was taken into British custody. Unfortunately for Fritzy, his scuttling charges did not go off. And depending on the account, either the British shot him as he was in the water waiting to be rescued, or he drowned because it was up in this area here and it's cold. It seems pretty reasonable to me. Or he drowned after realizing his huge mistake. Why was that such a huge mistake? Well, I will tell you why. On a U-boat, there are a few things that are really important. And probably foremost among them is not the torpedoes or the, delicious sausage or the nudie mags or anything like that. It is actually the Enigma machine and its associated code books. Those were taken by the British. U-110 did not sink, as that message said. It was recovered, and all of its contents were recovered, including those code books in the Enigma machine. All of that was sent to Bletchley Park, the famous encryption ciphering center in Britain. They realized very quickly what they had, and were thus able to read every single message that the BDU sent, just about. This is a huge blow to the U-boats, because basically there's multiple ways it sucks, pretty much. First and foremost is that the British know where the U-boats are going to be, so they can send destroyers to be in that patrol grid before the U-boats even get there. That's obviously a problem. But another thing that it does is when BDU is ordering boats to different supply ships, like the Belgian here, or the Corrientes, and then the Python down here, in a lot of cases they'll give away the position of those boats. And then, surprise, there's a cruiser waiting for this little supply ship when they get to their position, and they kind of get sunk. Commerce raiders also had a hell of a time staying out of the British eye. Same with later on in the war, there will be what are called milk cows. They're U-boats that are specifically designed to refuel and rearm other U-boats. They don't stand a chance with this kind of compromise in the intelligence. The British know exactly where they're going to be, and they use that knowledge to the best of their ability. I don't know how this really manifests itself in game terms, other than the aforementioned issues with supply ships kind of suddenly disappearing. But I don't know if it actually makes it that much harder for us, to be honest. It should, but I don't know if it really does. Fritz Julius Lemp is kind of an interesting character. He kind of is most infamous. So if that wasn't bad enough, he actually was a fairly competent commander. I think he had a fairly high tonnage count by the time he had to make his exit. But he also was involved in the first sinking of the war, and as you may recall, that was the SS Athenia, which was a passenger liner carrying no cargo other than innocent civilians. Over 1,000 people were killed in the attack. And most of them were British. Some were Canadian, some were American. Lemp's excuse for sinking the Athenia was that, well, it's zigzagging, it's dark. I'm going to assume that it's an auxiliary merchant cruiser, so I'm just going to shoot at it. Everybody cool with that? Okay, cool. So he shot at it, landed a hit, it sank. After he realized what a colossal blunder he had committed, he told his men, listen guys, don't tell anybody, because I could get in a lot of trouble. He actually did eventually fess up to BDU and to the Kriegsmarine and said, listen, I was the one that did that. So there was a huge cover-up. They tried to They even went so far as to say that Winston Churchill had intentionally had the ship sunk just to get the British public more on his side in the war. He actually wasn't Prime Minister at that point. He was, I think, First Lord of the Admiralty or Head of the Navy or whatever. But pretty outrageous, really, kind of to turn it that way. But what happened, actually, in the same patrol, Lemp attacked another ship, and realizing that the whole Athenia thing was kind of a boo-boo, he tried to actually stop the ship that he was going to attack in this other attack, and get them to stop, and so that all the civilians could get off of the ship. This was at the point in the war where there was some modicum of fair play expected. When he did that, though, one of the crewmen managed to send off a message to the British Navy saying, "Oh my god, we're being attacked by a U-boat, send help." And so they sent some dive bombers from the HMS Ark Royal, who attacked the U-30, which was the ship he was in command then, and he had some of his prize crew aboard, but he had to dive so that he could avoid the bombs. It was basically every time he dove, he would leave crew behind, and then every time he would come back up, another bomber would come in and try to attack him. So it's a huge debacle. There's actually a lot written about it if you guys want to look more into it. But the actual important part of that story is one of his crewmen actually gets injured. He takes that crewman to Reykjavik, because Reykjavik was still, I think, Iceland was still neutral at that point. And that crewman eventually will get captured by the British when the British kind of occupy Iceland. And he basically spills the beans at the Nuremberg trials and says, yeah, Lemp he kind of did it. So much for Lemp's illustrious career being otherwise untarnished by his utterly shameful death, but really, I don't know. He's just an interesting character. He's kind of star-crossed. Had a fairly successful career, but then made some really bad mistakes. So that's the story of Fritz Julius Lemp. Thanks for listening to Effing Controller's Storytime. I have kind of gussied up our course a little bit because, as I said, it is May 12th now, and we're going to be pretty early for our appointment, if you will. So I'm going to kind of cruise around here and hope that I run into stuff. I had a contact earlier around here that was heading northeast. I don't think we're going to catch up with it, so I'm not too concerned about it. But yeah, I'm hoping to run into some shipping. Some convoys would be good. And we'll just dilly-dally for a little while until later on in the month. How about that? I just stumbled into a ship. Looks like a coastal freighter. Question is, we're fairly close to him. Do I dive and attack? I will probably dive and attack. Just because I'm worried that he will see us. Alright. And here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna try to use the 315 method. Hopefully, if I can get the mark right. Thank you. That'll do. I'll even up our course to the northwest. I actually removed some of the frills of our previous course, just because, well, the timing for our appointment isn't quite right. So I'm figuring I would just give that a try and see if that helps us out any. But I'm being kind of coy about it. Maybe I'll explain what I intend to do after this attack, just because it's probably irritating to you guys, and it's probably not honestly that that helpful. But so we're about at the 2-minute mark. It's not on hydrophones yet, but it's just kind of in keeping with how this has kind of been working. 3 minutes. And let's put the scope up. Should have done this a little earlier, because now I have to find him. There he is. Oh, it's a tanker! Delightful. Alright, so with the 315 method, we will come to the conclusion that our friend is going 6 knots. I should actually keep that line there just for reference. Alright, so now the idea is, well, we might have to hurry up here. Because he's fairly close. Yeah, I don't want to be firing our torpedoes that close. We're actually going to go fairly fast underwater. Stop that thing. Get it out of here. We're going to be very loud, but he doesn't have hydrophones, so we don't care. And that should be just fine. Okie dokie. So anywho, let's just take another look at him. He's a small tanker, but gotta ID him. Whoops. Pushing the wrong button. And that's one of them thar tankers. Lock that in. Or is it? No, it's not a small tanker at all. What am I thinking? I think it's one of these guys, a nipple tanker. Push the button as many times as I possibly can. See, I always get them confused with the coastal freighter. That's why I thought initially. You can see that the only difference is that, well, I guess there's a couple differences. The masts are faced differently. This little spar or whatever you call it. And then it's got a cabin in the middle there, so that's how they're different. Alright. Now, hopefully... Yeah. I was worried that he actually was turning right there for some reason. We're just going to give him another couple seconds here until he's at a desirable angle. And that should be good. Set it to one of our aft tubes. I will use a Type 2 simply because I feel like it. I've got something against him, I guess. What can I say? Alright, gonna range him out. Maybe. The seas will cooperate. And he's about... We're actually fairly steep right now, so we're going to probably give it some time. I should manually input the speed here. So I guess that he needs to even out a little bit. That'll do. Okay. Much better. Okie doke. Let's rearrange. Come on. It's just slightly wavy enough to make this a little bit difficult. 2007. Very good year. Lovely bouquet. Okay. 6 knots is... We're gonna notch that up. No, that's fine, actually. Impact pistol at a depth of 4. How are we looking? Oh, that's bang on, I say. We're gonna just remove the lock, open the tube, and just wait for him to get into position here. For him to cross our hairs. Whoops. See, that's the thing. When you do this, you gotta be careful because you can see our solution isn't updating necessarily. Hope that's gonna work. Alright. And besides, if we do miss, we can just circle around and kill him with the deck gun. Oh, but I would really rather not, because I've been making a pretty... been using the deck gun an awful lot. Let's see. We're just going to actually watch the timer. We're going to stay under. And wait for the boom. Just want to go zoom, zoom, zoom. Okay, never mind. I not gonna wait for a full minute. I'm gonna speed things up. We're gonna go to time compression 2 because sounds will still go off. Doo-doo. 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 Okay, that's terrible. Let's slow it down. I think we might have missed. Oh, maybe not. Let's go to the camera. Let's go to the kill cam. Oh no! Oh no! This is not a kill cam at all. This is a fail cam. Dear me. Well, thanks 315 method. You know, it could have been my henny penny outlook about the whole frickin' can't even talk right. I'm so mad right now. About the frickin' 315 frickin' piece of shit opening the tube nonsense horse hockey. I can't even put sentences together. So it was going slightly slower than 6. But meanwhile, we have other means at our disposal of sinking this gentleman. And we're going to be really close to him. Right? Hello, handsome. I don't like sinking these guys because, or I don't like shooting at these guys rather, because it's deceptive. They will burn and burn and burn, but they don't sink necessarily. That is a striking outfit, sir. Who are you? Which one are you? Assuming then, just figuring out who's attired like this. Otto Euler. Well, Otto, I like the trim of your jib there, son. Actually, nope. We gotta turn a little bit more. It's stormy out, and the guys are ducking. Oh, I guess this guy could be armed, couldn't he? That would be fun. I don't see anything. I completely forgot about that. How embarrassing. You know what? Actually, we're going to put Influx on deck. Because he's a gunner. He's got 2 tickets to the gun show. Oh. And a distorted body. Yay, gunfire. You're already on fire because you're carrying explosive cargo. And that's awful. Just awful. Ooh, kerblooey! Kersteve! Splork! Blamp! Nancy! Waterline hit. Delightful. And what was that? Oh! Right in the prow. An unexpectedly highly explosive hit to the prow of the ship. Well, huh. Good going, I guess. I think I'll help out. I just can't help myself. You're much closer than that. The sieves are quite rough. Come on. Okay, so that was a little bit of a long shot. Hey. Damn it. Oh, I just hate myself. As do most of you, I'm sure. Alright. I think I got him ranged. Whoa! Lightning. Didn't know this game had a lightning gun. Yay! I did it! I'm the Queen of France. Oh, he broke in half. What a cut-up. Crack is whack. Oh, man. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. I took you one step closer to the edge, and now you're about to break. Ooh. How about we just call it even? Split it 50-50. No? Okay, fine. Well, I'm not having very good luck with the torpedoes this patrol. I need to kind of ratchet that up a little bit, get that situation dealt with, but we did manage to sink him with the deck gun. The old reliable 105. Actually, the new reliable 105. Didn't take too many hits. Where are we? I can't see shit. Ooh, look at how well camouflaged we are. Not even I can see us. Beautiful. Well, anyways, I'm just going to talk about the course, which we shall return to forthwith. I've tidied things up so that we... Well, let's see what the timing is going to be like once we finally get turned around. Okay. Ports. Time to last waypoint. 227 hours. We're actually going to go a little bit faster than that because we were under, so we'll stop recharging. We'll go about 9 knots. We'll be in this position probably in 8 days, possibly less if I'm feeling frisky. So I've been alluding to us operating in this area around this time because there's a certain historic event that happens. The Bismarck, the delicious pastry named after the dude from Germany, is sailing out of Gotenhafen here. It's going to go through the Baltic, and it might get seen by a Swedish ship or two. Swedes might tell the British and say, hey, this giant battleship is going to go out into the Atlantic to sink convoys and stuff. And the British might say, oh my goodness, dear me, sir. I say, we'd better stop having tea and crumpets and kicking tramps, and we might want to shoot at this giant battleship as it tries to cross into the North Atlantic. So, basically, yeah, that's what happened. It happened exactly like that. The Bismarck is going to sail roughly on this course like this, through the Denmark Strait, and about where that flag is, conveniently enough. It's going to run... Actually, it's going to be more like down here, I think. I haven't ever done this in the game, so let me preface all this with this, but I've done it in real life, though. No. I'm an idiot. Okay, so the Bismarck goes like this, and it runs into a task force sent from Britain. And it contains, I think, the Prince of Wales and the Hood at first. And it sinks the Hood. The Bismarck sinks the Hood in this area. And, of course, the British are furious. They dispatch basically everything they've got because they are dead set on, first of all, not allowing any German surface ships into the North Atlantic to shoot at their convoys because that'll starve them. And also because, well, it's kind of, at this point now, a point of pride. They're infuriated at the loss of the Hood. They're going to sink the Bismarck. Sink the Bismarck! That's where that phrase comes from, because they wanted to sink the Bismarck, I guess. So they dispatch forces from Gibraltar, from throughout their bases in Britain, to try and sink the Bismarck. The Bismarck is going to realize that it's been detected and that everybody's going to try and kill it. It's going to go this way, and somewhere around here it's going to get sunk. Spoiler alert. They do sink the Bismarck. The problem with kind of following along with this pretty cool event, first of all, I don't know how well scripted it is in the game. The manual assures me that it's scripted and that the Bismarck does get sunk somehow, magically. I'm assuming that it's just going to throw wave after wave of planes at it somewhere in this area. But I'm not sure how this is going to go, to be totally honest with you guys. What I'm hoping is that we'll at least get to see it while it's at sea. And if not, and even better, we might get a shot at some pretty serious warships. It's obviously ahistorical. We're going to an area that is probably really of no interest to us otherwise. We wouldn't probably have orders to not only go to Freetown, but then to go up into the Denmark Strait. But, hey, it's a video game. Let's have fun with it. So, I'm going to try to shadow the Bismarck for a while. It's going to bow out over here, and these warships are really fast. You might remember from one of my earlier patrols, I happened to kind of stumble into the Hood, actually, and it was going like 23 knots or something ridiculous like that. There's no way we can catch up with a boat going that fast. At a head flank, we do maybe like 19 knots or so in this type of boat. In a Type 7, we do 20. It's not a huge difference. So it's if we do get into that position where we have to try and play catch up with them, we're going to miss them. So I'm hoping that we can at least get a glimpse of them, possibly even while they're in battle, like the Bismarck and the Prinz Eugen versus the Hood and the Prince of Wales. I could be wrong. Was it the Prince of Wales? I don't really remember. I'm an American. I don't need to know about none of this shit. So, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't have any idea how this is going to go. But my idea, though, is that since the Bismarck kind of goes out like this, I'm going to dash down here and try to get involved. I would love to get a shot at the Ark Royal. I don't know. I think it is in the game. Just going to verify this. I haven't even seen it. I got to be honest with you guys. I generally do try to avoid British task forces because they are dangerous. Oh, that might be what they use. They might. Was it this class? I don't know. Well, in any event, we're just going to see what happens with it. I have, again, no idea how this is going to pan out, but we're going to give it a try. Meantime, like I said, we're going to probably continue to sink tonnage along the way if it happens to run into us, but otherwise we're not going to really actively hunt. So that's the plan. Knock on wood. That was loud, probably. I apologize.